Hey everybody, welcome to OmniLucid Presents. I am Ryan, and today we're going to be doing an interview with the guys from Road to Infamy, Jeff and Andrew. They have a new game coming out in October, or a Kickstarter in October, which we'll go over that a little bit tonight. They also have Canvas Reflections that's currently in production right now. They also made obviously the first Canvas, which was a huge hit for them, as well as a lot of other games. But we're going to talk about all those. So we'll go ahead and bring them in right now. Hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey,
Hey
good.
Ryan.
Happy to see you guys as always. So I just recently started talking and playtesting with Jeff and Andrew for anyone. I don't know if I've said it in any of our other videos yet, but so far it's been a blast. It was really awesome, or it's been awesome so far talking to you guys and playing games and everything, and some fellow Illinoisans and we'll call it Chicago suburb people. But yeah, you guys want to do any kind of intro for yourselves, or I mean, I can always just talk you up too. It's up to you.
Sure. I'm Jeff Chin. I'm half of the R2I games. Together, Andrew and I do we design games, we publish our own games, and kind of a big part of my role is I do art direction and kind of handle pre-production and kind of the look of the game and graphic design, things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm Andrew Nerger, the other half, and I do licensing, distribution, accounting, stuff like that.
All the boring things.
Yeah, business.
Nice. Well, that actually brings me into one of my first questions. So I'm going to keep kind of looking this way because I have all my questions written out over here. But one of them that I had was because so far I wasn't sure how much. Obviously, it's the two of you, but I didn't know if you guys had any kind of people in the background that you also work with. Is it only you two? I know you guys always like highlight the artists of your games, but do you have like I didn't like go back and look to see if it's always the same artist. I don't know if you have like a resident artist that you guys like to work with that's just kind of on a case by case basis. I can't remember. Freelance. There we go. Freelance artists are yeah. So is it just you two, or you guys do have anybody else that kind of helps you out?
Yeah, we're the only two employees and owners of the company, and then we do hire freelancers. We pay an accountant. We all our games have a bunch of or have different artists that we hire. I used to do some of the art in some of our earlier titles like Road to Infamy and Crypt, but since then we've hired out other freelance artists for that. What other kinds of freelancers have we hired, Andrew?
Freelancers, if
Much
you
it
count
mostly
it,
just
well, there's fulfillment partners we work with, warehousing,
Right. Yeah.
distribution facilities. Yeah, so there's a ton of people who have hands in all our games and how they get out to the public and help that way. But
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Yeah, I was kind of just looking for like if there's an artist or like I just introduced you guys to Jordan in the background there. So like, Jordan kind of helps us out type of thing. Um
Yeah.
like when you guys I don't know, have you guys done any cons where you have like your own booth and have like people that you hire out? Or I know a lot of companies it's just kind of like they put out a blast email and like, hey, if you want to come help us out, you guys do stuff like that.
We've been to a couple conventions. C2E2 we've won a booth at for two different years. There's a contest hosted by Logan Theater in Chicago where it's video games and board games, and the winner of best video game, best board game get a booth at C2E2, which is pretty awesome. So we've had the opportunity to have booths there a couple of times, and we had some close friends of ours help us out at the booth, which is incredibly generous of them. But then they got to explore the convention a little bit, so hopefully they feel like it was a little bit worth their time.
Nice. And again, man, this is going to be easy. You guys keep like just putting in perfect little segues for other questions I had, because I was going to talk about C2E2, obviously, with you guys being in the Chicago area. And I was trying to remember because I was thinking about it. And I was like, I feel like I've seen Road to Infamy at C2E2, but as I'm sure you guys know, there's typically not a lot of board games. I think there's, probably 10 or less. I would guess, and that's if you're really walking up and down and really looking for them. But I feel like I want to say you guys may have been there with Afternova one year, because I don't remember if I looked at it then. I think I did. I think I remember looking. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like as I was going by real quick, because it's like, oh yeah, I got to get to whatever. I think I was going to a panel or something. But did you guys? So you said the last 2 years. So were you there? Or I guess 2 years again. COVID time's throwing me off. But
Right.
were you guys at C2E2 with Canvas?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, nice. And usually a good time, exhausting.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Like the number of hours you spend at the convention compared to like the numbers of impressions you can make. Like it feels so crazy that we're spending our time, but then like you start meeting people and like playing games with people and just make like really awesome connections with the players, and people like will remember us from previous like events and stuff, and that's always just like the moment where I'm like, oh yeah, that's why we do this. This is so cool, like running into these people again, and just kind of building a fan base and playing games with them. It's a good time.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely awesome. That's the other thing. C2E2 always seems like it's a little tougher to do because the way they're set up, they're not really set up like the other conventions to actually like sit down and play a game. I feel like everybody typically just has like one of those small little like circle tables, and that's your playing area. So it's kind of like, all right, guys, let's just all try and play our game around this little thing. But I mean, I guess depending where you're at, I think when you guys had Afternova, if I'm remembering it, I'm pretty sure it was Afternova. I thought you guys were like on an end booth or like you were out where your table actually had a little more room. I could be wrong, so I don't remember. Or if you guys remember if that's how you were set up or not.
The first time at C2E2, we had a nice corner spot, which was incredible that they made that a free booth spot on
Nice.
a nice intersection. But yeah.
Awesome. So Brian says, Canvas is such... Oh, it went away. Oh, now he's in. Okay.
Hey, we're gonna bring him on so we can ask them personally. I think that we should do that. Love you, Brian. All right, ask away, my friend. Sorry, love.
Putting on the spot. I think your audio's out, Brian.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh no, it was just about Canvas, and it's so fun. I love. You see a game and you're like, oh man, I wish I had come up with that, or like it's just so good. It almost, like you just got to know what's behind it, like and so yeah, that's essentially what I was wondering. Is there a story behind what inspired it, and what was it like making Canvas? However long you want to talk about that.
Yeah, go for it, Andrew.
Yeah. So the story behind the artwork is. We knew really early on that we wanted to use transparent cards, and we wanted that to turn into a picture. We just didn't know how. So we spent months and months and months looking at a lot of different types and forms of artwork that could possibly work in that format. And I think on one day when we were like very much over the concept and didn't think it was possible, we just Googled beautiful board game art. And one of the top BGG posts for that was Dixit. And so I went and I cut out some Dixit cards and we started playing with those. And then there was like a light bulb moment. And then we started just, a ton more work after that, months and months more work of, figuring out all the odds and ends we kind of got there. So it's really inspired by Dixit is the simple answer, but it's inspired by, I don't know, the childlike, children's book style artwork and fanciful, abstract, surreal works like that.
Yeah, and then from a mechanical standpoint, the inspiration is Mystic Vale. We were playing a game of Mystic Vale with some friends, and which is a really clever, creative game. It's like a transparent card deck builder, and I remember at the end of the game looking at the cards that I had created and being so disappointed in how they looked, and that you just like the actual artistic elements don't overlap. And I was like, what a missed opportunity. And I was like, what if these landscapes like added on to each other and created these really cool, unique, scenery images? And then that's what got me thinking like, oh, I could find a way to make that work with the various artistic pictures combined. And yeah, and then like Andrew said, like that took months and months of us arguing over whether or not this was actually possible for these images to blend and actually look good. And after exploring 3 or 4 different art styles, like we finally landed on something that actually works well together. And it's like that abstract-ish, surreal-ish, but representational images that work so well because they're like one identifiable enough, but they're also like painterly and dreamy enough. So when they're like juxtaposed with each other, they like kind of blend in a weird and interesting way, kind of like the Dixit cards, like Andrew was saying.
Nice.
Yeah.
Real quick, before I pull him out of there, because he's probably like, "Ah!" Anyway, no, something I just more of a statement. Something I really wanted to say about Canvas. I think what that board game or what that game encompasses is a basic concept, but very complex, all in the same. It really is simple but complex, all in one, and to have something that you can combine and kind of create your own art in a way out of this, these beautiful textures through the game. And man, unique. That's really where it is, especially in a world where, I mean, we can make dungeon crawlers all day, and yes, they're great. We love them, right? Those are fun. But at the end of the day, I think what stands out in the board game market, and I don't know much about it, but is something that's unique and different, something nobody's tried before. And that's what's going to push boundaries in the board game industry is games like that are going to really challenge people, but yet be simplistic enough and beautiful enough that it makes you want to go back and create new art. And, oh, hey, I've never created this piece before. So just an observation.
And how the game itself kind of mirrors how you make things and having to think in layers. And so there's this meta element to it, because if you know how to, I enjoy to paint, I enjoy painting. And so if you know how to think in layers, and then you encountering a game where like you're so obviously having to creatively think in layers, and then adding like having to tie that into how you go about winning the game, like that was a really, really, really fun element for me.
That's a good point. Think about that. Like, how many games do we play that we have to think ahead, right? We have to think ahead of what's happening next,
like visually too. Because
right.
Then you're like, oh, I want to put this together, but it's not gonna. Yeah. Anyway, so.
Yeah. All right. I just wanted to make the statement. And awesome game, by the way, guys. All right, you ready? We'll let you guys do your thing.
They brought up some great points, though, especially there, like how Jordan was saying with the how it was simple and yet complex. Because I was even thinking, like when me and Ashley played, and I had told you guys this before, and I can't remember where me and Ashley were at in kind of our Canvas craze when we did our video on it. But we played it for. Yeah, God, I want to say like a month straight. And like anytime anybody would come over, and Ashley was just like, hey, you want to play this game? It's really cool. Hey, you want to like, she kept going after her mom for a while because her mom's not really into board games. She's like, no, come on. But no, one of the like the simple but complex thing, like when Ashley originally was playing it, she didn't even care about winning. She was just like, I just want to make the best looking painting. And I've seen a lot of people say that in other board game groups too, where they're like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. And sometimes it works out. Whereas me, like the whole time I'm like, well, I'm going to try and make it look nice, but let me make sure I get my combo of symbols here so I really am maximizing points. So it is a lot of fun. And it was definitely a cool concept. I had never played a game with like the clear cards. Although peeling all the plastic off of all when it first showed up, I was like, Jesus Christ, this is taking forever. But other than that, it was really cool. and kind of just going with the canvas train here. And now with Reflections, I remember when like watching that the campaign for that and the reversible cards. I was like, man, like I can't imagine how hard it was in the original game to get them to layer right so that things weren't completely blocking each other out. I was like, now you're trying to make things where, you know, the reverse side actually lines up and it still goes to the card. So yeah, that you guys definitely had to have put in so much work with that. The only one I remember off the top of my head was it was like one side was little white birds, I think, and then the other side was airplanes. So, but yeah, I was like, oh yeah, that's, you know, it makes sense, but it's like, man, just to come up with that must have been a lot of work.
Yeah, we had a lot of help from backers coming up with ideas to make the illustrations on some of those deluxe Reflections cards, like that have the same silhouette, but when you flip the card over, it's a different object. And to me, that's like, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on in the game that's like really clever and crazy, but all the cool flipping images that backers came up with is, to me, is like the most visually striking aspect of Reflections.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and I love how you guys made the boxes so they'll actually like link up and make like one big painting now.
Yeah, I think I've got 2 of them up on.
Oh yeah,
on the
there you
wall
go.
there.
Yeah, mine are over there.
There it is.
Yeah. It's one of those, like, I had it on the shelf. I was like, well, they made it so it can hang up. Like, I'm gonna hang it. I have to hang it. Which again, another interesting concept. And again, I'm just gonna keep going right into questions that I have here. So, was that something that what was it that made you guys say, hey, you know, this would be cool if it was a box that's also a painting that you can hang on the wall? Was that something that you saw somewhere else? Because I've never seen it, or it was just an idea that one of you had, and you're like, "Hey, let's do it."
We were at our friend Rusty's place, and he's a amazing designer, game designer, and product designer. Is actually one of his ideas, and we were just chatting around about it. And yeah, I was like, you know what, this, you know, hanging a box on a wall, you know what that would really work with? A painting game. And he had recently played Canvas, and he was like, yeah, you can have that one. So Rusty's just been an incredible asset to us and like a great friend. He is, you know, it's all him. It's his genius. And
Nice.
He'll be coming out with a board game in a little bit, and we can fill you in when that happens. But we're very excited for him.
Cool. So I'm gonna back up just a little bit before we keep going, because one thing I wanted to make sure and ask you guys is just how Road to Infamy got started. Like, I know reading I think it's on your guys' website in the bio where it says, you know, you guys were high school friends, if I remember right, and then you decided to make games. But is there more to the story, or that's just you guys were friends, you like playing games, so you did it?
Yeah, I think it started with playing a lot of D&D back in the day, and I was always a DM for our group, and I would make these really elaborate custom campaigns that lasted multiple years, and so just stuff like that. Also, just you know, random party ideas we would come up with to entertain our friends. Through a Mario Party, came up with a bunch of like little mini games for everyone to play, and so it was just like a for fun thing at first, and then that eventually, you know, when we became roommates after college, we started designing our first game, Road to Infamy, and it was just kind of for fun at first, but we got like really obsessed with it, working on that together every day after our regular day jobs. And after running that first Kickstarter campaign, we're like, so do we just keep doing this now? Is this like our thing?
Nice. That's really funny, just because it's so similar to like me and Brian's kind of like origin story as well, which I think I told you guys. But yeah, I mean, me and Brian have been friends since he didn't go to my high school, but since high school. We actually both worked Yeah, there you go. So obviously, Ords knows the story. But yeah, me and Brian actually met when we worked at GameStop together with a bunch of our other friends all in high school. And then, fast forward however many years, and I have annual parties, just friend reunion parties, and for a while they were just parties, and then the last, I think, 5 years there's been themes, and during those parties it was typically me like, okay, well, let me come up with this game, and what's the theme? And like there was the first one I think was medieval, so it's like, well, it's still a party, so hey, we should play beer pong, but instead of like throwing it, I'm gonna make catapults because it's medieval, so it was little
Nice.
catapult beer pong. And I can't remember all the other games, but there's a bunch of other games to it. So every year I was like, all right, well, let me come up with some games for this, and whatever it was. And one of the years the theme was Vikings, and I was just sitting there doodling in my pad, and it was like, okay, what. And as I came up with what was basically the base game of Drakkar, I was like, hey, Brian, what do you think about like do you think this could be a real game? And now we're doing the same thing. So it's really funny to hear that your guys' origin story is really very similar. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, I wanted to make sure and ask that before we kind of jump back into all the games here. So you guys said like Road to Infamy, which I haven't played Road to Infamy, and Cosmocracy. Those are the two that I haven't played of yours yet. Loved After-Nova. When I got After-Nova is also when I picked up Crypt, because you guys had like that as a bonus add-on or something. And I love both of those. Actually, I remember what it was specifically why I got Crypt was because you guys were offering for After-Nova, you could get like the upgraded with like the silver lining cards or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, I can get that, or I can get the base game of After-Nova and use the money to get a whole other game, which is Crypt. So I was like, I don't really need Silver Lining if I can get an extra game out of this, which I was really happy I did, because it turned out I'm not a fan. Yeah. Yeah. It was right in the beginning too, where I didn't know anything about you guys, and I just remember seeing like something about Afternoon. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, I'll just back it. Like I had just started really getting into Kickstarter, and we were designing games, so I was honestly just going on Kickstarter and just kind of like, I'm gonna just order a bunch of games and try and figure out what it is that I really like and try and hone in, because I hadn't really been in the board game space in years, probably. Like we've always played board games, but it's like, oh, well, let me get back into like the new age board games. So I was just backing a bunch of stuff, and I remember just like, oh, okay, like space, and they're doing the stuff, and hey, these are pretty cool cards. I like this concept. You know what? Yeah, sure, I'll back it. And then it showed up, and I love the game. But and then obviously Canvas, which was awesome. Like I said, me and Ashley played the crap out of it, and still, if it's one of the games where I'm like, hey, you want to play Canvas? Yeah, sure, okay, right away. And I'm sure when Reflections gets here, we'll be playing that again. We'll probably go into another month-long binge. But I also want to talk about, and maybe you guys do as well, so your next game, which is coming out on Kickstarter, is it October 10th or 4th? Oh, okay, so not even as long. So is that next week already?
I think we got maybe a
2
week
weeks?
and a half, something
Week
like
and a
that.
Week and a half.
All right. And Andrew, I saw the big eyes happen there. So with that one, well, actually, that brings up a question before I go too far into the game. How is the Kickstarter campaign experience for you? I've talked to other people, not on here, but just in through forums and that, and it seems like, yeah, it's like a month long of just tornado, just, oh my god, let's go, and then at the end you're just dead. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
how is the campaign experience for you guys?
Very similar.
Okay.
Yeah, I will say it does get easier now that we've done it so many times. We probably had months and months and long of discussions about how to set up a Kickstarter page and where do things go and what does it look like. And I think finally for this one, it was pretty much in concrete. The formatting, what do we show people first? What do we show people second? So that that goes a long way, and it only comes from doing it a lot, figuring out what your style is, and like you were saying before, is just digging into Kickstarter, backing some stuff, and finding out what you enjoy and what makes sense to you. But yeah, I mean, it's crowdfunding, dealing with getting the chance to talk to, you know, people and backers who are passionate about your campaign and want you to also make the best product, and figuring out a way how to meld their ideas with your own ideas. I mean, it's a creative process in and of itself. And yeah, I think that's the long part of it, is just figuring out how to get your vision through, and also like provide something that's, you know, special for everyone involved.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's there we go. So Jordan's bringing that up here. So so
Hey.
Don't Go In There is the next Road to Infamy game coming out, which this is what we have been playtesting, and I really like it. I've been well, I don't want to say too much on that because I'm sure I will do something for this, but I don't want to say too much just before we get to that point. But either way, so don't go in there. And again, the first thing, which this image obviously shows, is again, you guys are bringing us this cool little custom game box that turns into something else. Before it was, you know, well, you know, we can make this hang on a wall. That's pretty simple. We'll just put a hole in the back of the box. Now you have a box that fully turns into a dice tower. So is this like a new thing for you guys, that you're just going to always have some kind of like transformer style boxes with your games? Because I mean, I'm all for it. I think it's a cool idea.
We joked about that.
Yeah, if we can keep coming up with ideas, it's something like, I don't know, we got a lot of positive feedback on for the Canvas campaign, and you know, we've been thinking since then, like, if we're gonna try and, you know, make our games stand out on a saturated Kickstarter market, like, you got to have something kind of cool and flashy and fun and exciting. So yeah, that was all part of the discussion when we came up with the box design for Don't Go In There, is how do we make this really, you know, inviting for someone to click. I mean, despite having the name Don't Go In There, it's inviting box where you're like, oh, look at that functionality, it opens it. I don't know, hopefully just makes it feel a little bit different than all the other boxes you scroll past on the page. I don't know.
Yeah, the box tower was Jeff's idea, and really, I think what really made us enamored with it was the challenge of making it functional. And so it was like, no one's ever done this. There's a lot of things where it's like, no one's ever done this, and it's really hard to do, and therefore we should definitely do it. And I think that's what we came back to every time we were talking about Canvas. We're like, we can't get this art to work. It's like, well, of course no one else has done it, because it's really, really hard to do. But that doesn't mean it's impossible. We just have to figure it out. And the dice tower ended up being the same type of challenge. So I think when Jeff came up with that and that moment happened, we knew we had to make it, and we had to make it work perfectly like a dice tower. And yeah, I hope that becomes the thing we do, is we just do the things that everyone else refuses to do because it's such a headache. You know, that I think we love that path.
Yeah, and I'm extremely curious to see when this finally shows up at my door, which I'm sure is at least a year out, and hopefully not too much longer with all the shipping crisis stuff. But yeah, like, I'm very interested to see how it all plays out and how the actual tower aspect of it works. But I think that's really cool, like incorporating the box into the game. I think that's something. The only other place where I've seen that done, and I don't know if you guys have played any of the escape room games. I'm forgetting what they're called. Unlock, the Unlock escape rooms. Have you guys played those?
Yes, yeah. Okay. My wife and I are big fans of those. Abby's not a big board gamer, much to my dismay. So what I can get her to play is the escape room games.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's Ashley is as well. So we've played every single Unlock game. Like, she actively hunts them out. Yeah, with those, every once in a while there's the puzzles where the box is actually part of the puzzle, and I both love them and I hate them, because I love them because it's amazing that the box is incorporated. I hate them because when I have an hour, and it's almost always at the end of the puzzle, and I'm like, okay, okay, let's see, where do we need to find this at? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what's on this stupid box? Oh, okay, hang on. The box has stuff on it. It's something different. We got to look at this. So I hate it because it slows me way down, but it's just, as the first one that we had where it incorporated the box, I was like, that's so cool to actually have the box like part of the whole thing. And where the escape room games, they're a little bit different, than board games, but I don't see any reason why you couldn't have a board game where the box is part of the game. And again, I haven't looked it up to see. There might already be something out there where that does happen, but nothing that I can immediately think of. So I'd be interested to see if you guys come up with something like that. All right, so I want to ask you just some kind of like basic gamer questions here as well. So what's your guys' favorite game of your own? We'll start with yours. So your favorite game from the Road to Infamy collection.
Oh,
Probably for me, my answer will always be the one I just made.
Okay.
So it's Canvas Reflections as of today until Don't Go In There comes out probably. But no, I mean, I just say that because like I'm always really enthusiastic and excited to work on like the next new thing, and every game we put out, I feel like we become better designers. We learn new things. We've played 100 new games since the last time we made a game, and so we're always improving our design methods and stuff. And so I think every game we put out like has something new and special about it.
All right. Andrew, are you gonna copy his answer? Or?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's just the creative mind, right? Where it's like we love playing board games and we like playing new stuff all the time and like discovering new things. So, by the time a project's over, we've played a board game, we've tested it 300, 400 times, and we're like, all right, time for the next one,
Yeah. All right. So then if you guys are moving on that often, this one might be a little hard. So what is your favorite game of all time?
Mine just changed, actually.
This is the same answer again.
The one you just played?
Whatever. I mean, are you talking about all published games now?
Yeah, no, not just yours. Now I just wanted to get your games out of the way first.
Yeah.
Now, yes, all published games, anything ever, your top game of all time.
So for the longest time, I've been saying Scythe. I've played so many games of Scythe, like just obsessed with that everything about that design, from the way it looks to the different avenues of play and everything. But as of like this past month, I've been playing a lot of Board Game Arena because I don't have much of an in-person friend group since I've moved to Champaign, and so I've been playing a lot of Res Arcana, and that game is, oh my god, for such a small amount of components in that game, there is an insane amount of like card synergies and strategies. And I think my last time I checked, I have like 91 plays on Board Game Arena, and I'm still finding new card synergies. I'm like, how is this possible? This game is so perfect.
Awesome. Andrew?
Yeah, it's the same answer. It's Res Arcana. Our friend told us like, hey, we have a group of friends, a group of designer friends, and we tried for a while now. We've taken a slight break, but we said we're gonna each choose one person is going to choose a game each week. They're gonna learn it. They're gonna teach everybody, and we're gonna play it. And our one friend said, let's play Res Arcana. And Jeff and I both looked at the images online for it, and we're like, oh, the graphic design's terrible, and there's all these icons, and it doesn't make any sense. We're gonna hate this game. And then we both played it, and we're like, this is probably the best game ever. And so we just jumped into that, and that's That's what we really like. I've always been like a big fan of like hand management games, and it's like hand management, and but so much more, and it's got great player interaction. Before Res Arcana, it's kind of a troll pick, but I would tell people my favorite game is Jenga, but Jenga is my clear number 2. I swear to God, you can play it with anyone, and you're gonna have a great time, and it's gonna end in like the coolest way possible. Not many board games have like an ending where everything breaks, you know. So I think it's pretty like it hasn't been trumped ever.
So basically, you want a game that always includes the table flip at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So you must love that feature on TTS.
Yeah.
Have you ever played that? That just made me think. Have you ever played the game Tumple? Tumple. So it's basically yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Brian, you do.
It's basically Tumple is like Jenga in reverse. So you start at the bottom, and then you have to like roll a dice. Kinda. I mean, it's similar to Jenga.
That was like you're just building something.
Kinda. Yeah. So you start at the base, and you have they're like little 4x4 squares, and typically you just put them together and you make like a rectangle. But you are allowed to actually like offset them if you want to change your playing space. But then you roll a dice, and you have to put one of the pieces onto the playing space however it says. So that could be laying flat like typical Jenga style, it could be up on the edge, or it could be up on the tiny edge and standing real tall. So and then you have to continuously build that way, and once the main play space on the bottom is gone, then you build up onto the other pieces that are there. However, there's also like little beads, kind of like the old school Magic the Gathering little beads, like it's like flat on the bottom but rounded on top. And if you get those, you can put them on there to where people either it cancels out that entire brick and you can't put anything on there, or it just cancels out like that specific space on the brick. I don't know. When I first played, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool doing Jenga in reverse a little bit. But okay, so my next question, which you guys pretty much just already destroyed that one, was going to be what game is getting your attention now. So you guys both said Res Arcana is your big one that you're playing right now. After that, then do you guys have a like favorite mechanic as far as like deck builders or worker placement or anything like that? Do you guys have like a favorite mechanic that stands out for you, or you're just kind of anything?
It's hard to
and everything?
say, because whenever I play a new game, I'm like always enamored by the new thing. That's like what really hooks me, is like, oh my god, I've never done that before. So maybe it's kind of a non-answer, but I like doing something that I've never done before in a game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's always fun. Like, oh hey, this is new. Because it's fun and it's exciting, and it's like, oh, what can I do with this? It's basically opening up all the possibilities of a mechanic that you've been playing for years, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, now I get this brand new thing to try and think up different strategies, and if I do this and I do that, because this mechanic allows me to do it. So yeah, that makes sense. Andrew, you got?
Yeah, I think I dumped like card or hand management earlier. I think that's still true. Yep. And I think it, like the nostalgia of it, I played Magic the Gathering with my brother in like 3rd grade. So in the Pokemon trading card game. So anything with that just feels nice and familiar. But yeah, there's so many things you can do with cards and mechanisms that, there's plenty of ways for that to get mixed up. So whenever that's like kind of, revitalized, I get really excited.
Nice. Yeah, and I definitely agree with the whole new thing as well, Jeff, because when it's anything that I haven't, it's not necessarily a new mechanic, but just new to me, where it's like, oh yeah, this is really fun, which I still haven't even totally locked down. I think right now I have to say worker placement is probably my favorite, because I do end up enjoying it a lot in a lot of the games that I play, but at the same time it's funny because then it's like, even so, like I've said for years that Twilight Imperium is my favorite game of all time, and it's like, okay, well, that's not worker placement at all. And I mean, like even just like looking at the collection, like I love Hellboy, and again, it's not worker placement; it's actually a dungeon crawler, and so it's hard to say. It's hard to really lock them down. But at the same time, so when I got Super Fantasy Brawl, for instance, I had never played an arena combat game before, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this, but hey, it's got some pretty cool minis. It looks kind of neat. I'm going to take a chance. Let me try this out. It's something new, and I absolutely love it. So I was like, oh, maybe I really love arena combat games. Like, okay, do I need to look at these more? But yeah, so it's definitely hard, I think, to lock it down. And when you keep coming up with the new mechanics and things as well, it's interesting, right? It's always interesting to try out the new mechanics that people come up with. And you get into a little bit of that, like Brian was saying earlier, damn, I wish I came up with that type of thing. Let's see. So I think that was all my like board game ones. I just wanted to try and learn a little bit more about your actual board game preferences on stuff. So this is a question that I saw somebody ask a while ago, and I feel like people still don't ask designers this. So I wanted to make sure I asked you guys this question, and that is, and it can be from any of your games, but what is a rule from your games that gets messed up the most that you've noticed? One that you see asked a lot that you maybe are like, oh, if I was there teaching you this, it'd be so easy to explain, but people seem to mess it up with when. Do you have anything like that or no?
I feel like there's something, Andrew. I don't know. Maybe something in Crypt or something. There's like that little box in Crypt that people always forget about in the rule book. What is that?
Oh, the box. Yeah, we put a rule in like a little text box. It's if you don't take any cards on your turn, you get all your dice back.
I thought that. Really? I thought that was like a basic. Isn't that like the basic thing? Because I thought the whole point in Crypt was you can either take a card and like bet. Well, not bet. What I don't remember exactly what you guys call that action, but send your butler or your servants to go and get the item for you, or you get them all back. I thought that was kind of like, hey, here's your two actions: either get something or get your dice, like one or the other.
So there's kind of a third one. You could bid on the cards, then get knocked off of all the cards, and then still get your dice back.
Okay, yeah, that's true. Oh.
Did you know that one?
That's what I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I've played Crypt, so that's what I know that I've done the bidding before. If you get you only get your dice back if you get bumped from everything.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that I did know. But yeah, that
it's a little tricky one.
Yeah. Man, now I'm thinking of like going. I need to get Ashley to play Crypt because it's so quick and easy, and I feel like that might be a dangerous game for me to play with her though, because she's super competitive, and I don't know if we've played a game where there's bidding, and if I introduce her to a bidding game, I feel like she's just gonna go super aggressive with it. Well, actually, although she has play tested Don't Go In There with me, and but you know what? She always goes max. She always goes like, I'm going as the furthest in. This is what I want. I'm taking it. Yeah, she always does. So yeah, I guess that's probably what would happen in Crypt as well. What do you guys think is the hardest part of creating board games? I actually gotta watch. We're right on time. Okay, so we're getting close to our hour here. So,
yeah. Do you know? Do you have something, Jeff?
No, nothing. I don't know.
It's all really hard.
Yeah.
Just don't make games. Don't do it. Just play other people's. No.
Something that's real hard is just like how much time and how many times you have to play something to like to learn something about your game, and you can get so deeply attached to the way things are. You've been playing it so long, and then way far down the road you get some feedback that's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't do your game, the core piece of your game. Yeah, no, flip that around, do that differently, and that's like soul crushing sometimes, but I don't know.
The
It's
kill your
it's
darlings
hard.
moment.
Right, yeah, the kill your darlings moment for sure, but like it's amazing when you do get that feedback that actually gives you some clear direction when you've been like kind of banging your head against the wall for the longest time and you're like, why won't this work?
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to play it to death until you find a playtester who sees it from a different angle than you have. Like it's so hard to like get the blinders off, right?
Yeah.
You see your game the same way every single time you play it. And it's so hard to break that, and that's why you have to play test with other people, because people look at your game with such a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, you gonna piggyback on that one, or you're good?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I do have a different view than Jeff there, where I just like always assume no one's liking any of the games we play, and when they're like, I don't really like that, I'm like, of course you don't like that. We didn't think about that at all. We didn't think about gamers like you. So, but I mean, every part of it's hard is as far as like finding a mechanism you believe in to go forward and develop it. You know, trusting that the development process, you know, which takes us 9-12 months, is going to end in a really good game, you know, and something. And I think the hardest part for me, and I wouldn't say like other designers, is just like seeing the end, being like, all right, we're here and the game's okay, but it needs to make all these steps and we have 6 months to do it. And so the hard part is just staying the course and like grinding it out. So it's kind of just like figuring out. It's all of game design, right? Like
Yeah.
It's hard to separate. It's like you have a rock and you got to chisel it and find like the best possible game inside, and hopefully that's there when you get done, you know, scraping stuff away.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and yeah, like obviously, yeah, when you start going through and it's just like, oh, this seems like it's going to be such a simple thing. That's probably one of the hardest things when you're like, hey, okay, this part's probably going to be hard. You know, we already got that down. This is just using cards, like no big deal. And then you get to that card part and you're like, oh my God, how do these cards work though? Like I can't just play a card. It's got to have some. Yeah, no, that's definitely when you get into the mechanics and you think that, oh, this will be simple, and it's like, no, that's actually the hardest part. It's like, damn it, okay, let me change this, and then it like ripples through the rest of the game. And you're like, oh, but if that changes, then this doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and yeah, doing it all over again.
Very interlocking puzzle. If you change one thing, you got to think about the 50 other things you affected. So true.
Yep. And Jeff, as you were saying too, with the people, it's getting more playtesters on it, which definitely, you know, I agree with, because that's again with us. And I know me and Brian were just talking about this, and I might have mentioned it to you guys the last time we were playtesting as well, where the hard part is for us right now. It's like, oh, well, we have different playtesters. And it's like, okay, well, where are we at when we have some people that are like, I have no idea how to play this game. This was more off of the rule book, which I know I had talked to you guys about, but like when we're going through our rule book, it's like we have these play testers that they're just like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, okay, that can't be happening. They need to know how to start. Then you have play testers like, yeah, you know, I can basically play this and I have maybe some questions here and there. And it's kind of like, yeah, that seems like the sweet spot. And then you have play testers that are just like, yeah, no, I got it. It's good. And it's like, oh, well, maybe it's fine. And it's like that, trying to figure out that harmony of like, you don't want to leave the first group behind, and you know, it's just like, yeah, it's hard to say. So definitely the playtesting so much is so helpful. Okay, and then do you guys have any quick advice? So best advice for new designers, do you have anything for that?
Go for it, Andrew.
Yeah, so I would say the best thing for you to do is to play lots and lots of games, a variety of games. Play as many games as you can, because then it will give you a feel for certain mechanisms and things that work in games. The best thing to do is that's the research of game design, is playing lots and lots of different board games. So do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I definitely second that. That's like the best advice you can give to a designer. I feel like a lot of new designers, we you know, we'll ask them what their favorite games are, what they play, and a lot of them like haven't played a lot of the big name titles that are in the genre of the game that they're designing. It's like, if you're trying to make a like worker placement game, like how have you never played Agricola? You know, like you gotta play, especially the ones in your genre. But you know, expose yourself to all the new stuff that's constantly coming out. There's just so many games out there, and so many cool new things that are happening in each one. And like, so that's why, like Andrew said before, our little group of game designers that meet, we had our virtual weekly meetups where we would play something online every week, and it would be something new and different. And I thought that was a really helpful thing we did, because we probably played like, I don't know, 20, 30 new games just this year, right? Just with that group. So that was awesome. And then taking the time after each game that we play, and we would talk for half an hour to an hour about like why the designers made the choices that they made, what effects that had on the game. You know, what would you do differently? Was there a piece of this game that you like that you could kind of turn into another game? Like, can you find inspiration in the stuff that you play? So there's a lot you can pull from just playing other great designers' stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I definitely agree. That's awesome. I think awesome advice. That was, like I said, when we first started making Drakkar and I was getting into it, it was just like I went on Kickstarter and I was just like, okay, that one. I don't know about that. And I just like, yeah, let me get a bunch of games and start playing these things. And especially early on, because Brian was doing all the artwork and he jumped on that. Just because, you know, it's going to take him a while. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to start playing games and really get a feel for all this. And now I don't even know how many times where we'll be going back and forth. And it's like, well, you know, it's kind of like, you know, this mechanic from, you know, oh, this is kind of like Blood Rage. Oh, this is kind of like, you know, Dice Throne. This is kind of like Afternova, you know, whatever it is. It's just like going through and like, oh, you know, I kind of like this, but what if we do this little, you know, let's just turn this a little bit. So yeah, definitely. Any advice for creators who are about to release their first game? What would they expect to see when launching their first Kickstarter? Oh, I'm scared to hear the answer on that one a little bit.
Yeah, the first Kickstarter is the toughest one for sure. Something to definitely be aware of is like the biggest push is going to happen in the first 2 days and the last 2 days. Yep. So don't get like horribly depressed when day 3 has like 2% of the backers you saw in the first day. Like that happens in every single campaign, even if you're, you know, a huge publisher or something. That is just the natural arc of it. So don't get freaked out by that.
Yeah, I forgot what they say, because I looked into that, where it's like you get you get 50% of your funding in the first 72 hours, or maybe it's the 48. Then it's like you get the next 20% of your funding over the, you know, the rest of the time in between, and then you usually finish up like the last 30% you get in the last 48 hours type of thing. Yeah. It's some, you know, some percentage like that, where yeah, they're just like, yeah, I mean, anybody that's done a Kickstarter, I'm pretty sure they've heard the term like the mid campaign slump.
It's unavoidable.
You know what? And it happens on day 3.
yeah, it's just like you hit a wall, or they always seem to hit a wall. The only ones that actually, I think the only campaign that I've been a part of where that didn't happen, and I was surprised, was actually Alter Quest for Blacklist. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Blacklist games. They did Street Masters and Alter Quest. Yeah, so they're another big publisher that love those guys, and they've helped us out so much. But their campaign for Alter Quest, it was the first time where I would come back every day and like, let me, you know, oh, did we unlock any new stretch goals? And every single day there was at least one more unlocked, and I could not believe it. But it's a minis dungeon crawler campaign game. So people were just like, oh, but I want to get that next thing. Oh, I want to get that next enemy. So it was just like more and more sculpts and all that. So it made sense why, but still I was like, I can't believe this is just like continuing throughout. And it still obviously had the first, you know, the first 48 were still huge and the last 48 were still huge, but the in between, that was the first time where I didn't see it just basically stop dead for a few days and like kind of like trickle along.
I just looked it up on KickTrack, and it looks like, yeah, like day 1 and 2, like a total of 2,000 backers, and then all through the middle of the campaign, the range is 20 backers to like 144. So
Oh,
even
okay.
that one, like same
Yeah.
kind of arc.
Yeah, still hit the slump. Okay, yeah. So a
Yeah.
little harder to recognize, I guess,
Yeah.
with stretch goals getting knocked out.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
but right, that's part of the magic of stretch goals is you're trying to find ways to like, keep the excitement going through that kind of mid-campaign slump, and encourage backers, make people feel like, hey, like, this is really chugging along, exciting things are happening.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You're gonna.
I was just gonna say, yeah, like as long as stretch goals keep getting unlocked, then right, like you felt the momentum continue, and
Mhm.
that's the most important part.
Yep. Yeah, it's keeping people engaged. All right. Well, and then so I just want to give you guys a little bit more time to talk about. Don't go in there, and there you go. We're on the Kickstarter subject. So again, nice little segue into there. So anything that you want to reveal about it yet, or you want to kind of don't feel like you need to, because it's obviously it's coming out. So if you guys want to kind of save it for the campaign and the big push, I've been tracking all. I know you guys have been putting out a lot more like stuff on Instagram and posting photos. I think even today was it? I think that you guys posted. I feel like there's something I thought popped up, but yeah. Anything else to talk about the Don't Go In There campaign?
Yeah, I mean, it's out there, available to play on Tabletop Simulator. So there's
Yep.
no secrets to withhold here. We can talk about whatever, but
Yeah, okay.
basically the game is, you're a meddling kid who goes into a haunted house, and you get cursed, and you got to pick up these cursed items, and kind of the main push and pull of the game is the deeper you go into the haunted house, the more likely you are to get first choice of the cards. That's a great thing, except the deeper you go into the haunted house, the more likely the ghosts are to come after you. So it's a little bit of like a bidding with luck, because the ghosts are a roll of the die, as you can see in the Kickstarter image. You drop those ghost dice through the tower, and the player with the most ghosts at the end of the game suffers a big curse penalty. So you want to kind of manage that risk level as you play through the game. You're kind of collecting various curse cards, which are all inherently bad things, because you want to have the fewest curses at the end of the game. But if you can get the right combinations of cards, you can dispel them, aka flip them over, and then the curses don't count against you at the end. So we're calling it kind of like a set destruction game. So you get your sets, dispel the curses, try and get the lowest curse count. But it's been very fun. It's a very it's like an easy to learn, light to medium weight game, kind of like most of our titles are. It plays in about 30 minutes, 2 to 4 players. We've had a lot of fun working on this over the last year, and we're really excited to finally see this come together onto Kickstarter.
Yeah, and I did see you guys were getting some hype from a few other people. I don't know if you're familiar with Sarah Shaw, who does the Board Games in a Minute. You know who that is?
No.
No? Okay. So she has a channel. It's Board Games in a Minute. She teaches board games in 1 minute. She talks super fast. It's hard to understand, but it's also very impressive. Yeah, she was giving you guys some love the other day on one of the groups I'm in. I don't remember. I think it was because of the cats, because she's a cat person, and she made some comment of like, "Oh, I need this game," or "I need to play this game," or something. And I even commented back to her. I was like, "Hey, it's on TTS. I'm more than happy to play with you." But yeah, so the artwork alone on it, it's really cool, especially from the not that anybody, I guess this is more of an inside thing, but even the initial stock artwork that you had picked, Jeff, even that I thought was pretty good. And now seeing the actual artwork that you guys have come up with so far, it's all turning out to look very, very cool. So, yeah, I'm excited to, like I said, to get the actual game, because I really just want to see the Dice Tower box thing as a big one. But yeah, I'm excited for the game. For anybody else that is watching this either now or later, definitely reach out to me. I will play Don't Go In There on tabletop with you at any time, pretty much. I love the game, and like you guys said, it's really quick. I mean, me and Ashley, we were playing at the 2-player. Her first game, I think, took 20 minutes, maybe a half hour. But that was with the teach and everything, and she didn't really know what was happening. Our second game that we played, I think we were done in like 15 minutes. I mean, it was super quick. So yeah, easy to play, easy to teach. Actually, going along with it, I'll play any of your guys' games on TTS with people. I have the Canvas one and all that, so I'm definitely down to play any of your guys' games. But yeah, so any I guess closing statements or anything else to shout out to anybody? I know we've been kind of just giving you guys plugs for Road to Infamy the whole time through, but
no, you did great, Ryan. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for having us on. Thanks, Jordan, for making all the magic behind the scenes happen. Even Brian's been great with his questions. So just thanks for having us.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
thanks for doing this. I was really excited to get you guys in here. All right. So that's the end of this interview. So this has been Road to Infamy with Jeff and Andrew. As I said, definitely reach out. You can message me in the either on the YouTube comments or wherever you want. I will play their games with you guys on Tabletop Simulator, hands down. They're a lot of fun. But until next time, let us know what you think. Share, subscribe, all that. Send us some comments. Let us know if you've already played some of the Road to Infamy games. Which one's your favorite? What do you like the best about their games? Anything like that. And we'll see you guys next time.